A Biography of Innovations, From Birth to Maturity. R. Gopalakrishnan, narrated by Rajiv Dadia. Preface. Innovation has long fascinated me, even though I never applied my mind to the subject in any serious way, and this attraction was a more general one. In 2004, my relationship with the subject changed. My company Tata Sons Limited requested me to chair a Tata Group Innovation Forum, that is, TGIF. My steering committee had a cross-company membership strengthened with subject experts. Ratan Tata's mandate to the TGIF was to positively influence the culture of innovation more than the process of innovation in all Tata companies. It was a challenging mandate, as culture is a fuzzy subject to grapple with, especially for a whole bunch of engineers. Further, the effects of one's actions are difficult to ascertain as compared to technical measurements. The mandate changed the terms of my engagement with the subject of innovation. I chaired the TGIF for 11 years. Naturally, I had access to all the Tata companies which operate across a wide variety of technologies, domains, and consumer spaces. These companies gave me enormous insight about technology, business models, ambitions, human behavior, and persistence. During this period, I read a veritable library of books on the subject and spoke to international companies like DuPont, GE, Honeywell, and DSM to learn and share. I participated in the workshops and symposiums of institutions like Imperial College London, London Business School, Stanford University, The Economist, and the Financial Times, as well as the Indian institutions of distinction, like the National Innovation Foundation, the Marico Innovation Foundation, the National Innovation Council, and the Atal Innovation Mission. The need to reflect and express my thoughts and observations was fulfilled in 2012 when I became a columnist for Business Standard. My monthly column titled InnoColumn was about innovation, entrepreneurship, creativity, and allied themes. By the time this book is in print, I will have completed over 50 monthly contributions. All of these experiences have, in fact, inspired me to write this book. A casual inquisitiveness about what happens in the human brain during the process of thinking, or the way in which it works, was an important part of my journey. If the reader finds the initial chapters somewhat rich with this layman's version of insights on neuroscience, my immense curiosity about the brain may be blamed. It is this curiosity that led me to read about Michael Merzenich, who has done a great deal of work on the plasticity of the brain. He says that the brain is plastic, in the sense that it assumes the form of the influences it is subjected to. The surface area of the brain has been likened to real estate by calling it cortical real estate. I learnt that the brain does not waste any cortical real estate, and any new learning occupies brain real estate. The more a learning is practiced, the deeper that learning imprints itself on the plastic brain. This is a bit akin to how pathways get formed on mountain trails. New pathways don't come up easily, but the repeated use of any pathway strengthens it into an oft-used pathway. I learned that in the 5 steps of tofu-like tissue inside the head, nestled amongst 1 trillion support cells, some 100 billion neurons are signaling to one another in a network with about 500 quadrillion connections called synapses. The learning itself may produce bad or good habits. There is a competitive plasticity in the brain to accommodate learnings of the individual. This also teaches us that not only is learning embedded in the brain, but that the brain itself is learning to learn. Amazing, isn't it? Thus, it is our habit and desire to learn to be curious that influences brain plasticity. Providing me contemporary evidence was a report about John B. Goodenough. He set the technology industry ablaze at the age of 94. He and his team at the University of Texas, Austin, filed a patent application on a new kind of battery that, if it works as promised, would be so cheap, lightweight, and safe that it would revolutionize electric cars. 37 years earlier, when he was 57 years old, Goodenough had co-invented the lithium-ion battery. My contemporary at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, Professor Anjan Bose, who is a Regents Professor of Power Engineering at the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at Washington State University, confirmed that age is no impediment to new learning, though motivation and determination can become impediments. Bose, a great admirer of Goodenough, had the privilege of studying and advocating why the latter should be considered the father of lithium-ion batteries. Bose had served for several years on the committee that awards the Draper Prize, an American prize given through the United States National Academy of Engineering to technologies that have changed global society. The technologies are easy to identify, and it is the committee's responsibility to identify the people behind them. Often, major technologies like the cell phone have dozens of key contributors. The Draper Prize, however, is given only when the key contributors are 5 or less. In 2014, the Draper Prize was given to 2 academics and 2 corporate researchers, Goodenough, Rachid Yazami, Akira Yoshino, and Yoshio Nishi. Goodenough was the first to make a Li-ion battery work in his lab, and he is the only one still doing full-time research. During his fact-finding on the Li-ion battery, Bose spoke with many who knew Goodenough well. People were quite awed by the fact that even at 94, he attends conferences, presents papers, and collaborates with other researchers. He could very well get the Nobel Prize, says Bose. This view contrasts with the Silicon Valley obsession with young people, epitomized by Mark Zuckerberg's comment at Stanford University in 2007, "Young people are just smarter." Author Pagan Kennedy writes, "There is evidence to suggest that late blooming is no anomaly," quoting a 2016 study that shows that inventors peak in their late 40s and tend to be productive in the latter half of their careers. Nobel winners apparently make their discoveries at an average age of 50. It is important to note that age is not necessarily an impediment to being innovative, unless you have determined that to be so. What caught my attention was the evidence that from the time the innovator or scientist is born, it takes about 40 to 50 years for him or her to peak and become truly productive. This goes against the generally held belief that for middle-aged people, great leaps of imagination are already well behind them. I also found anecdotally that in science, the average time between a concept and its manifestation as a commercial product could be 30 to 50 years. The narratives in this book about climate control, the dry photocopier, and the ballpoint pen adduce to this point. However, such a statement cannot be generalized across all products, domains, and periods of time. I started to see a connection between the life of a concept, that is, and its later manifestation as an innovation, and the life of an embryo, that is, and its later manifestations as a human being. Both seem to take 40 to 50 years to peak. Although there is no science to support my view, I imagined that the way the brain conceives an idea may be metaphorically similar to the way a human womb conceives a baby, a chance union of some energies. That is how my journey with this book took on the inflection. In the corporate world, executives struggle with the I word. The number of articles and books on the subject are so many that it becomes tiring to figure out how to apply them. Consultants and authors who have specialized in innovation management abound. The naturalness of creativity and innovation seems to be buried in the adipose tissue of management jargon. This state of affairs reminds me of modern American research that is quoted to persuade Indians that although we have to breathe to live, we really don't know how to breathe properly. The ancient Indian arts, or science, of yoga and meditation have taken center stage as the remedies for this malaise, though in a modern avatar. Humans should learn to innovate naturally, just like fish swim, and flowers bloom naturally. For the large part, such things have to be internalized and self-taught. Good life
Sample complete. Ready to continue?